Hi, this is Steffi and welcome to the FinancialFox Bitcoin series. Do you know the Bitcoin ecosystem is booming and there are so many startups building on Bitcoin, from infrastructure to payments, telecommunication, health insurance, media, social media, music, games, arts. There is so much happening on Bitcoin right now that you should know about it. And this is what we are going to be discussing today with my guest, Mike Jarmuz, General Partner at Lightning Venture, an exclusive Bitcoin-focused group of angel investors dedicated to supporting Bitcoin-only companies. Mike is a Bitcoin addict, but he's a cool guy and is such a big supporter of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and he has been investing in many companies in the space. And he's going to be sharing some of his views in this interview, which I loved. I love talking to him, and I hope you do too. And I also hope that you're going to learn a little bit more of what the Bitcoin ecosystem has been up to over the last few years. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button now and follow us on social media to stay up to date with our news and interviews. And if you have any comment on the content or you have got any question, feel free to reach out to me at steffi@financialfox.news and I will get back to you. So Mike, it's great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm great. Yes, thanks for having me.
Mike, let's start with a very important question. When did you get your first Bitcoin?
When did I get in Bitcoin? I remember around that 2013 area. Max Kaiser started talking about it when it was around $3 and had heard about it earlier, but really took a good look. And then, of course, you think, oh, this is a scam, and it takes a while, and you do research. And so it took a while. I definitely didn't buy any at $3. But around that time is when I started just going down the rabbit hole and being obsessed like everyone else, like all of us.
Yeah, well, brilliant. You have been one of the earliest, one of the OGs. So that's great. That's great. So why investing in Bitcoin versus other tokens?
Well, I would not consider myself an OG. But
Okay.
Why Bitcoin only? Everything else doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant. None of it's going to matter. There's going to be no innovation there. And Bitcoin will be the only thing that matters. Bitcoin is what nation states are adopting. Smartest people in the world are working on Bitcoin and always will be working on Bitcoin. So much is being developed on Bitcoin, right? You can think of, I'm buying Bitcoin the asset. Okay,
Yeah.
but by buying Bitcoin the asset, you're owning a piece of Bitcoin protocol technology, okay, for everything else that's built on Bitcoin, okay? And I think that that's something important to think about, is you're not just like buying a coin and I'm going to play this trade and pump and whatever, Bitcoin, by owning Bitcoin and everything that's happening, like podcasting 2.0, value for value stuff, messaging, everything else that's going on with micro payments and streaming, okay? Everything that's being built on Bitcoin, it's going to render all this other stuff obsolete and pointless.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I think one aspect that, people that really believe in crypto, and especially what Bitcoin has led, like real revolution, is not about speculation. It's about really laying the fundamentals of something that is much bigger than that. And I think that is really a very important point for everybody to consider and actually click it. They need to click. People need to click that. And I'm really glad that you mentioned. So, okay, I get your point. So Bitcoin is a culture, Bitcoin is a revolution, and that's where everything started. But there are some challenges, like scalability is a challenge for Bitcoin. So how that can be solved? What's your answer to this problem?
Well, I don't speak on behalf of Bitcoin, but if you understand the Lightning Network and what exists already today and the way that this can scale exponentially, then you're not really too worried about scaling. I don't know how much you've interacted with the Lightning Network, or I could be streaming sats to you now on this. Your supporters could literally be streaming sats. to watch these sort of things. You can have all sorts of fun with Bitcoin. You could put QR codes up, and the first people to watch it can get a few sats. You can do all sorts of fun interaction and things that are built with Bitcoin. And once you start seeing some of the future, it hasn't caught up yet. I mean, it's not everything, but it's out there. It's happening. Log in with Lightning. If you probably have never heard about this, now check out how cool this is. All right, you go to your favorite website, and instead of logging in with, log in with Twitter, log in with Google, log in with Facebook, log in with your email. Okay, you can log in with your Lightning address on your mobile phone. You can just pull out your Wallet of Satoshi app or Breeze or whatever your Lightning wallet is, and when it says log in with Lightning, boom, you don't have to put in anything, right? That's the best kind of 2FA that exists. Right, is log in with Lightning. I don't need all this Google Authy app and entering the code and whatever. Just Lightning wallet, boom, you logged in. So that doesn't even cost any Bitcoin. That's free. Yeah. That's free. But there's a lot of fun things that are happening that maybe necessarily some people in your crypto-ish kind of Web3, metaverse, coins, tokens, protocols, in that world, they're not necessarily paying very close attention to what is going on in Bitcoin or some of the cool things that exist today.
So I would like to understand your point of view on the experimentation that is happening on Bitcoin right now. So, Ordinals and all these new developments, they are kind of like trying to bring Web3 to Bitcoin. So what's your take on that? And perhaps even what are you doing with your company that is investing in Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin ecosystem? What are you doing with that?
Okay. Well, first off, we invest in Bitcoin-only companies. So Lightning Ventures, okay, only seeks out startups and companies that are building with Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. Okay, around Bitcoin. So anything else that comes in that's outside of that, we don't even look at. Okay, it's not even on the radar. Okay, you only focus on one thing, and then you can become an expert in it. So we invest through our first pilot fund, okay, and then we have a syndicate where anyone can invest. Okay, anyone who is an accredited investor, and that's a whole nother thing. Okay, you can invest $1,000 into early stage startup technology companies that are Bitcoin companies, Bitcoin related. That is what we do. Okay. And I was really hoping to get some of your audience excited about the opportunities that exist.
Definitely.
With early stage startup investing and learning that, okay, in whatever they're doing. We just do Bitcoin, and we believe that ultimately Bitcoin is all that matters. Okay, but in general, that education, that evangelism for people to understand that they have access to these, and these are not scam coins, okay? These are not other meme stocks. These are real investments, okay, in early companies, and that's how you can do very, very well, okay? And you can support these companies and lots of other things. It could lead to partnerships or other things for yourself professionally, okay? But you should get involved with angel investing. So
tell me a little bit more on perhaps some of the projects that you have been investing and the one that you think perhaps are the most needed right now, are the most promising, the one that you believe most. Obviously, they are in the Bitcoin ecosystem, but what do you think is really needed right now in terms of like innovation in Bitcoin?
Well, I wouldn't ever be, there's no what you think is going to succeed the most. I mean, when we invest in something, or when I invest in something, or when you invest in something, you should really like it, okay? And you should be there to champion them to the end. So some of the things that we have invested in, how about I tell you that? Because, a lot of people think that Bitcoin is boring, okay? But there is a very, very wide spectrum of things that you can invest in, okay, that are building on Bitcoin. Like, for example, you have the exchanges, right? You have the apps and like things like Strike and Swan Bitcoin and Beaver Bitcoin in Canada, or Relay in Europe, Coin Corner in the Isle of Man in Europe. These are all different kind of exchanges, but they're Bitcoin only, okay? And they're doing very well. Amber in Australia. So you have that world. Okay, and then you have sort of infrastructure companies, Something
Okay.
like IBEX, who's kind of onboarding retailers. Like if there's a super app, like imagine your Uber app.
Yeah,
Let's just say
yeah.
that Uber accepted Bitcoin tomorrow. How are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? When these companies want to accept Bitcoin, there's no way they're going to be able to build it. It's just not possible. The banks, the Ubers, the super apps, the delivery, the TikToks, the Instagrams, the online stuff, as these things start to want to add Bitcoin, okay, when that happens, which inevitably will, there is no way that they are going to be able to build it just like that. It ain't happening, okay? So that's the things that we're investing in. And, you know, those technologies where maybe a retailer doesn't want to hold Bitcoin. They need pesos. They need local currency. They can set that dial. It does the exchange for them. It deposits the fiat daily, instantly. It makes it kind of an onboarding, seamless process for those people. And these companies are operating in different parts of the world, right? There's that in Asia. And maybe all the money that flows in and out of Asia, when you take in the wire accounts and fees and delays and transfers and shitty exchange rates being given to you from your banks, and then you actually look at the Bitcoin solution where, wait a minute, I'm not keeping Bitcoin. I'm just using Bitcoin to facilitate that large payment, okay, from my country to a foreign country, to my vendor who I do business with all day. Instead of me getting screwed, I can save a ton of money, okay, by using these companies that are literally taking the fiat, the partnership with this other company, okay, it happens instantly over Lightning, okay, and then they just settle in fiat on the other side. It's absolutely beautiful. And a lot of the world is going to be sending money, cross-border payments, remittances. This world, okay, is gonna be huge, and it kills Wise. It kills these companies, the Revoluts, all of that, because you just get murdered. You get murdered on these rates. So I'm very excited about that. Okay, but what else, right?
Okay.
Do you want to know about other companies? There are
Yes,
many.
please. We mentioned about, payments. We mentioned about infrastructure. We mentioned about exchanges. Go on. I'm excited. That's all we want to know.
You're excited?
Yeah, I am. I tell you, I'm excited. I kind of got like a holy moment when I said, gosh, I mean, I should have paid much more attention to the first cryptocurrency. So it was, it's been an interesting wake-up call, let's say.
Yeah. There's even things in like telecommunications, right?
Okay.
There's a company called Vita where we could be doing this call, and maybe you had booked someone, or it was a consulting call, okay, and you're getting paid instantly through a beautiful looking, nice service like this, right? That can be streamed elsewhere, and maybe other people could join, and they're a telecommunications play. They're also solving cross-border remittances for a regional telecom company in Mexico. So there's a lot of settlement risk that happens. They have a pilot plan. So, those type of integrations. But again, we're talking about the settlement issue, right?
Yeah.
They're doing it with communications. But they also have a really fun app that you can use. Like Vita's so cool. What else? Something like Crowd Health. Crowd Health was actually a healthcare company, a different type of health insurance. And they added a Bitcoin component to it. And they've done it incredibly well. And it's a really cool company, right? But it's a healthcare company that has adopted a Bitcoin standard. There's things like Fountain, where you can get paid to listen to podcasts, right? And you can support and boost other podcasts. You should totally be publishing all your audio stuff to Fountain. Like, you should really look that one up. Really cool company.
Okay, media. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. You want me to keep going? How about the Orange Pill app? That's like it's like a networking app for Bitcoiners.
What did you say there?
The Orange Pill app. It's like a networking, fun social app for Bitcoiners, and you, of course, need a subscription. Super fun. Like, it's doing great. A lot of fun stuff happening in the Bitcoin
So social
world.
media, basically, that's another one, right?
Okay, social media, sure.
Social media.
There's this company called Slice, okay, and they're an ad tech company. So imagine like the Brave browser without the need for some scam coin, and you can just earn Bitcoin by being paid 50% of the ad revenue within your browser. It's a really cool company, and it's fair, and you cash out in Bitcoin. But yeah, see, Bitcoin is an ad tech.
Brilliant.
It's in a lot of different places, and we could keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. That's great. Identity. Tell me more about identity.
Identity?
Yeah, because I learned that actually decentralized identity actually was born on Bitcoin.
Decentralized identity.
Yeah. So, take control of your own identity, all this self-sovereign identity, all this kind of, it is a very important topic right now anyway.
So when you think about identity, okay, do you really have anything that is a decentralized identity? Because honestly, you can social engineer just me SIM swapping you. I could literally, if I wanted to, if somebody tries hard enough, okay, and they get a few pieces of information and the right person on the right day with the right conversation, like people get scammed every day with SIM swaps and port outs. Like, how do you own that, right? We invested in a company, Cloaked Wireless, who basically your number acts like your private key does, to where if you lose that private key, you've lost access to that phone number and the right to move it kind of forever, okay? Like, they fixed that problem overnight. And it's so cool to see a security and privacy focused, 5G wireless network that we'll be launching soon, really appeal to those people who are like, I want that responsibility, So when I think of the digital identity like that, or like Nostr,
yes,
I think it's just in the early stages because they all own you everywhere. Your bank accounts, whoever you have it, whatever you have is not yours except your Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what about storage? Is that something that you invest as well?
Storage?
Yeah, storing your Bitcoin, which is, is very important for everybody that owns it.
No, but there are some really interesting things that are being started. We did not invest in this company, but they're really cool. They're called Anchor Watch, and they are doing like insurance for people who want to insure things like you would insure your wife's wedding ring or near and dear items or whatever you have in your house, right? You can add a Bitcoin policy component to this. They were working on it, but that's a new idea, right? That's super fun.
Yeah, that's really brilliant, actually.
As far as like custody, things like Prime Trust, I'm sure if you've heard about some of this story lately, and a lot of Bitcoin companies used Prime Trust. There's been a lot of shakeups in that, and honestly, great custody is needed, and it shouldn't be that hard. Just don't steal everyone's money. Like, just don't mess it up. And like, why can't anyone get it? But when you ask, do you invest in custody, something like Unchained, right, which is out of Texas, they do loans, they have many multi-sig products, they have IRAs, they sell Bitcoin, they do a lot of different things. That's kind of storage, right? Because if you were somebody like maybe our parents, if you had a significant amount of Bitcoin, you would want an account with someone like Unchained. It's just the amount of risk at some point in time. It's verifiably a good company.
Okay, let's talk more about it. What about music? I know that you were big in music. So is there anything exciting about Bitcoin in the music space?
Wow, actually, yes. There's a company called Wavelake, Wavlake, and they have sort of a early platform where you can upload your music and people can tip you, stream to it, listen to it. They launched this really cool thing. It's the Waveman. It's a browser-based little thing on your phone. You can listen and interact with stuff. There's like a top 40, but they're working on other things too, right? Like splits, okay, where if the payment's coming to you, if you and I write a song, okay, and we put it on there, which is like, think of it like a SoundCloud, but for like Bitcoin, okay? If you and I write a song and somebody pays us, we can program it to where we both get half of that royalty, So these are all new ideas and really fun stuff. But the music publishing world is terrible. The process of getting paid royalties it's ripe for disruption, and we've been in this. It was a long time ago in the music business, but it's always been terrible. Like, now it's time.
It makes me thinking even the gaming industry is also a very corrupt industry. Do you see any kind of exciting startup looking at that aspect?
So in gaming, you have something like Thunder Games, which we invested in. They are a mobile casual gaming platform. They have maybe 5 titles released. Okay, there's things like that. Okay, there's something like Pink Frog, which is being run by a team that helped scale Candy Crush Saga. Okay, it's a Bitcoin game. It has a social component to it, right? But they're going for the blockbuster, right? That's a blockbuster versus the casual games on the mobile, like Thunder Games. There's things like Zebedee, which does a lot of the infrastructure and payments. They're not it's not a gaming studio in the same way, but they do a lot of other things that touch gaming in the backbone for a lot of other companies. So what else in gaming? There's a really cool kids game called Bitcoin Miner, and I think it's called Flum is the company, but they have a couple of Bitcoin mobile games too, and that's pretty much it for Bitcoin and gaming.
Okay, what about arts?
Arts, a really fun company. They're called Scarce City. Okay, they do auctions, scarce.city, and they sell physical art and they sell a lot of other stuff that's somewhat controversial, right? They sell these old Pepes. A lot of people don't realize NFTs is basically a Bitcoin thing, right? So they sell a lot of that stuff, and like if you went to the Bitcoin conference any of the last 3 years in Miami, they did the whole art setup, or most of it, right? They did a lot of auctions and things. Really cool, fun company, right? They're selling arts, and they sell those Bitcoin trading cards, and they sell other things, and they have a few other brands too. They have something called Sats Crap. I'm not making this up. Satscrap.com. Okay, and it's like an AI working eBay kind of deal where you can take a picture of anything and it'll like help you with the response, the listing information and stuff, and you sell it all for Bitcoin. And it's like this potpourri eBay kind of, you can sell all sorts of weird stuff and it's super fun, but it's a really fun little new e-commerce type of thing, and it's basically bootstrapped and cool and has its own community. And they're also launching an Ordinals market, Ord City, because that's been pretty significant volume, and they allow people to do whatever they're going to do. So in the arts, though, I think that may be about it. I can't think of another one. Help me out. Bitcoin art.
Yeah, I think the bazaar was brilliant. The Bitcoin Miami. This is the only conference where really the bazaar, it was so interesting, almost more. No, I don't want to say more than the conference, but it was very interesting. I loved it. So tell me about clubs, right? Member clubs. Is there anything that you see as being built in that kind of space?
Clubs. Well, like we were talking about earlier, honestly, as far as a company goes, I mean, the Orange Pill app would probably be that, right? Because you can pay for a lifetime membership once, whatever it is, couple 100,000 sats, I don't know, and that's it. Okay, but you have to pay. Everyone pays, so you pay every month, or you can pay once. That's kind of a club. As far as other things like hackathons, things like Pleb Lab. Okay, Pleb Lab is down in Austin, Texas. It's a physical location. You can rent a small office there. You can work there on a pass, right? Kind of like a WeWork type of deal. But they have a lot of content and meetings and educational stuff, and there's good people they're building, and it's kind of like a ground zero. Okay, so that is one thing. I guess it's kind of a membership. They're moving more towards a membership, kind of pleb pass sort of way to be involved. But that is one thing that comes to mind when you mention sort of clubs. Other than that, things like Bolt.fun, Bolt Fun. They do these tournaments and hackathons where people get together and build things, and there's prizes. Really cool. But I can't think of any other clubs for you. But if I come up with a Bitcoin club, I will send it to you so you can join.
Yeah. Please. And what about a Bitcoin phone?
I don't really think that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need it, but certainly Bitcoin will be a big part of your phone. And absolutely.
Okay, so there is basically so much building on Bitcoin that you kind of amaze me for the last 10 minutes. We have just been talking about all these new things that not many people know. And it's amazing. So obviously you have a fund, you invest, you do angel investment into this startup. What is your exit strategy? What how much wealth are you trying to build, and when you want to exit? What's kind of like the strategy of the fund?
Boy, okay.
Oh, that's a big question.
This is an interesting interview. I didn't know what to expect here, but we're having some fun. Okay, well, I mean, you don't necessarily think about exits, right? Because these are long, these are long horizons. Okay, so just like buying Bitcoin, if you know the Bitcoin mantras of stack and the whole thing, you understand what's going on, and it's the same way for these companies. There are opportunities later on to maybe sell them on the secondary markets, or maybe be able to get some liquidity later, okay, after much maturity, okay, but you're not really thinking about exits. However, if Bitcoin rips like we think it's going to rip, okay, there's probably going to be a lot of consolidation in these spaces. I mean, something like a Swan Bitcoin, okay, you think about who might want a company like that in the future. These large exchanges, and I think that there's going to be a lot of consolidation, but it's still too early, so we're just deploying.
Well, this is brilliant. I think you are the first person that tells me I'm not looking to sell, tomorrow or in a few years, and it's a very interesting approach. It's super cool.
Can I say something? Wait. Let me add to that. Please. Because what you picked up on there, like, this is the most important distinction. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the most important difference between crypto people, okay? I'm not saying that in a bad way or good way. I mean, but traditionally, crypto, okay, versus Bitcoin people, okay? Or real angel investors, or, VCs. Like, you're not investing in a token. It's not like, oh, in a year I can dump this thing. That's not how this works. Like, you start a relationship with a founder, you try to help them, you try to be useful, you try to create portfolio symmetry with your other companies. Sometimes you're just there to listen. You do as much as you can, and it's like a long relationship. It's not like, oh, well, we get the token warrants, and then in 18 months we can sell 35%, and like whatever that is, that's like transactional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we try to champion them as best that we can. And that's the type of investor you get. You get that quality. You get someone of a different cut than the guy who wants to dump the token.
You just said something so important, which is about nowadays everybody is a VC. And there are no proper investors with money, and nobody is investing into something that has got purpose. So that's so tell me. So Mike, obviously having a fund and having these babies or these project you're nurturing, what's your approach as strategic investor? Because from what you said, you are playing a role in the future, in the growth. So how you are helping this startup?
How do we help startups that we've invested in? Well, it's something that is going to be an evolving process that needs much improvement to scale. Just like these companies that we invest in are running their company and facing all sorts of challenges and scaling and everything else. I feel that, okay? We have our first fund. There was no fees, no carry. There's no income here. Yeah. Like, we're trying to scale. We have an active syndicate, okay? The market is what it is, raising a second fund, doing more, okay? It's hard. So what do? I have an open calendar for founders. They can book me at any point in time. It's Friday every week. Sometimes I'm engaged, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I am proactive. Hey, I have an idea for you. Are you free? And you try to just keep up and do what you can. And hopefully, when we have a larger team and we're doing this at the next step of scale, we can really do more in terms of just communication of what do you need is the only way that you can potentially do anything.
When the world is going to be ready to properly integrate Bitcoin? Because, you mentioned that some of your projects eventually they will be bought by another company. So eventually we will get to the stage where people realize that the Bitcoin is a big part and will be a big part of our economy. How far we are from that point, you think?
So I've been following all of the ETFs ever since they first started, right? Ever since the first ETF application, you could watch it live, the hearings, the questions, the price always went nuts. This has been a long time in the making, okay? And now at this point in time, with the people that are behind this, are they going to let BlackRock launch a real spot ETF? Like, it's BlackRock. It's not Valkyrie. It's not, although their applications are being refiled. All the people who got denied before, it wasn't BlackRock. Okay, you got BlackRock, Wisdom Tree, Fidelity. You got a lot of people here with the amendments, with Coinbase. If this happens, then you have so many wealth managers and people on the sidelines who now have an ETF. Let's just picture this, okay? When you go to your asset manager, Wealthfront or Betterment or whatever, E-Trade, whatever, and you say, "Here's my retirement money," and they give you two pies, and this one is aggressive and this one isn't, and they have this little cookie cutter thing. Now there will be a little slice in there that probably is going to say, unfortunately, crypto, as much as I would love it to just say Bitcoin. But likely of that percentage, hopefully all of it or most of it, certainly, will be in Bitcoin, in this new product that is now available. Okay, and maybe they put 10% in some Ethereum bullshit thing or whatever. But that's a lot of people coming in. That's a lot of people coming in if these get approved, and it could work miracles with the price. If you care about the Bitcoin price, it could push it a lot.
Right. So that is basically going to be a very important moment when this ETF is going to be approved, that we will have, well, it was like 2021 when you got institution buying into Bitcoin. That was a big endorsement for the assets that become, a recognized asset class.
Well, it's ups and downs, because you could take MiCA, which at least they have legislation in Europe. At least something's been done. There's a timeline. Okay, everyone's prepared for it. We have a ton of companies operating over there. And, certain KYC light, KYC free, non-registration, non-sign-up, a lot of these things they're closing the loophole. But that's a different story than what happened in the U.S. Operation Choke Point. I mean, you just couldn't operate, and a lot of companies that were doing significant volume overnight got debanked because the banks had so much pressure. There's so much pressure to crack down on it, and that has to change. Otherwise, the U.S. will be behind for like 10 years.
Yeah, well,
all these other companies, even Hong Kong right now. Hong Kong and Europe, London as well. They're coming around to it. They're going to lead.
Yeah, I think London is talking a lot. But when you talk, you need to back your talks with the unicorns or successful company that you put at the forefront and you bet on them. So that's the way you do it. You not just talk. You say, right, now I'm going to action and I pick up these 3 projects because I think those are going to be my champion in the UK, and you do it. And I think if the UK does that, then we can talk. But for now, I think it's still talks, which is great. It's better than no talks. But now, is there anything that you think the government should do to promote education of Bitcoin and in a way protect consumers from all the scams out there in Cryptoland?
So if you have a bank account, at Silicon Valley Bank, okay, we've got Steffi's startup, all right? Because you're so inspired now, you're going to start your own Bitcoin startup, all right? So Steffi's Bitcoin startup, let's say you have $200,000 in Silicon Valley Bank in your business account, your operating account, okay? There are laws that govern what can happen with that and how that works, and how much reserves does the bank have, what sort of stress testing, what size are they, what compliance do they have. There's something that happens there to where you're not really worried about the $200,000 in Steffi's Bitcoin business account because that's where we're at. Okay, they might be a pain in the ass to deal with. Okay, they're still a bank. Okay, but you don't have to worry about it. So you take that exact thing, and with Bitcoin, okay, for a lot of these Bitcoin companies that are selling Bitcoin or also still exchanges, a lot of times with Bitcoin, they don't have sort of that insurance and that framework where you can sleep easy. I mean, look what just happened with BlockFi, FTX, all the exchanges, the fractional stuff. And there's so many more, HODL Knot, all these little put up 1 Bitcoin, take out this much is a loan, sort of, Celsius, all of that, okay? Boom, imploded, gone.
Yeah.
And if there was regulation done, I'm not saying like regulation's great, I hate big government, but I'm just saying if there was regulation in place, then maybe that wouldn't have happened, right?
Yeah.
Because there would have been audited, SOC 2, whatever they have to do for those companies. And that regulation just doesn't exist, so.
Yeah, I think you just mentioned a very important point. Lots of people get scammed in DeFi. That's really a big problem. Is anyone, lots of startup. What about in the DeFi space? Is that something that makes any sense in the Bitcoin ecosystem?
Bitcoin DeFi.
Yeah.
What a fun topic to talk about. Okay, so check this out. The first one for you is a company called Fuji Money. Okay, Fuji Money. Now, there are other layer 2 solutions and side chains, okay, with Bitcoin. Liquid is a product put out by Blockstream. Okay, it's a side chain. You can do all sorts of things with it, and covenants and other kind of fancy things. So this is like one of those maker DAOs. I'm just using examples here, like a maker DAO for Bitcoin only, where you have this contract and there's an oracle, and you can go long. You can even earn a bit by providing some liquidity to it, and verifiable, not where they can run off with your money. Now, I don't know anything about coding and reviewing code and all these other sort of counterparty potential risks that are involved there, but Fuji is some very, very smart people. We actually interviewed the founder. They built a ton of stuff for Blockstream over the years. And anyway, that is basically it. Now, you want to put up your Bitcoin as collateral. Okay, you're gonna borrow your LTV. It's so much cheaper than a lot of these other things, and you're gonna get FUSD, which is a stable coin, okay, on Bitcoin. Okay, and what do you do with that FUSD? Well, you use an exchange partner, like maybe a Bitfinex or a DEX, a decentralized exchange somewhere, or maybe you buy Visa gift cards with it through certain companies and partnerships, or you live off of it, or whatever you do with it. But that's how this works, and then you repay that the same way, and it's really cool. And as far as other things for DeFi goes, something like Ledn, which we did not invest in, have LEDN, they were a lending platform that avoided all problems. Bitcoin, through this whole process of Celsius and BlockFi and Crypto.com and all these things, Ledn survived and had no issues. And that's a good platform for people to borrow off of. But using Bitcoin as a pristine collateral that it was meant to be, okay, and ultimately avoid selling it and avoid that taxable issue, but be able to manage it as a tool in your life, is something I'm very, very excited about the future of.
Okay. That's brilliant. I mean, that was such a great conversation. I learned so much about what so many exciting things are happening on Bitcoin. Mike, thank you so much for sharing your views with us.
Yeah, I appreciate you wanting to hang out. I wish I had an idea what we were talking about here. This whole thing took me for surprise, every little thing that's going on here. But if you want to get in the fold with investing in early stage Bitcoin stuff, happy to get you rolling in that area as well, and you can keep an eye on a bunch of fun Bitcoin only projects that might want to hang out with you.
Fantastic. So anybody also that is interested in that, I mean, anyone from my community, they can reach out to you as well.
Yes, for sure.
Brilliant.
But, the thing is we just invest in Bitcoin. So if it's
I
else,
understand. We understand that. I think that was the most important things. And Mike, thank you so much.
All right, Steffi, thanks